Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 42 of the Cosmic Force. And tonight we have a very fun episode in store for you because in honor of Valentine's Day this past week, we're going to be talking about our favorite Star Wars comics couples tonight. But first, let's go ahead and say hi to the rest of the team, and we will start where we always do with Emma. Emma, how are we doing tonight?
Doing good. Hello, everyone. Felt weird having no Book of Boba Fett today for the first time in like 7 weeks, and also no new comics. So I felt a little empty today, not gonna lie.
Yeah. No Obi-Wan trailer from the Super Bowl, no Book of Boba Fett, no comics. It was a rare downer week this week.
For sure, but I'm glad to be here, glad to talk about some of our favorite comics couples. There's a lot of them when we were brainstorming. I was shocked.
yeah we're and it's going to be a lot of fun to talk about all of them tonight, but we'll keep going around the horn and over to Caleb. Any special Valentine's Day plans between you and the missus this past week?
Stay home and eat homemade chocolate pudding, which was
that's awesome.
Ace.
That's awesome.
This is like the fourth time I've made it, and it keeps getting better. So maybe if you press me enough, I'll show you the magic link of the other YouTuber I got it from. But just go and chill out, go out, see some friends over the weekend, do a lot of board gaming. I think it's just going to be a grand old time. So love's in the air, but comics are in the hand. So let's keep this train rolling.
I like it. And our last host tonight, happy 1 year plus anniversary with Utini to Jacob. Apparently you celebrating your 1 year anniversary last week.
Yeah, I think it was Trevor, or maybe Trevor, that was in Slack talking about like finding back when he first joined Utini. So I went and checked, and I knew it was sometime around the beginning of the year, but I believe I ended up determining it was like January 23rd. So yeah, been here a little bit over a year. Obviously, I don't think the show started like the first week of April last year. But yeah, it's been a fun ride. It's a lot, but I'm happy to be here talking Star Wars with some good friends. So yeah, I'm ready to get into it.
So I did not realize, because we started planning in March for this show.
Yeah,
so like
maybe even February, maybe even like late
February. Yeah.
So you were literally brought in and were like, "Hey, we should do a comics podcast."
It was
and we
kind
just
of
ran
like,
with it
because I like talked to Corey like at the end of the like December, November of the year prior, kind of being like, "Hey, I think I could help out with some comic stuff." And then when I finally got brought on, it was kind of with the idea that this might be a thing. So yeah.
All right. Well, then if you are joining us for the first time, you can thank Jacob for helping Steam start this way back then, and a welcome, because we are a Star Wars comics podcast that broadcasts live right here on youtube.com/Utini every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock. But if you can't join us live, that's okay. We are also available on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Be sure to like us on those platforms so that other subscribers can help find us. We are also part of the Utini podcast network of nearly a dozen shows and a Discord channel at utini.com/Discord with more than 1,000 members and dozens of channels to choose from. If you like what you see and you want to say thanks, then head on over to our Patreon channel at patreon.com/Utini, where for as little as $5 a month, you can gain exclusive access to the entire Utini podcast network of shows, as well as exclusive merch and community involvement activities. So this is normally the part of the show where we get into our weekly pull list, but Jacob, we've got nothing. I think this is a first for the Cosmic Force. We have nothing in the pull list this week.
Yeah, this week we up this way. Yeah. No, that's it. It's a whole lot of nothing. We got some exciting things coming next week. Like the High Republic Adventures wraps up next week, but for this week we are kind of on our own. No comics to discuss, unfortunately, or buy, even more unfortunately.
Everyone's can't take a sabbatical, can't have a break from the high of the Book of Boba Fett. So I think it's not bad that we have a break, but let's not. I hope this isn't a trend. Which
to be fair, there were things that were supposed to come out this week. I'm sure
that's true.
In fact, I'm like 100% sure that there were things that were supposed to come out this week, and then just publishing delays, everyone's favorite catchphrase, or publishing delays in the supply chain, everyone's favorite things about 2021 and 2022. When are we getting
just because
goes? Who knows?
I was gonna say, just because we don't have a weekly pull list does not mean we have no fan submission art this week. So Caleb, why don't you go ahead and showcase our fan submission art?
Oh, this is not
week.
we actually don't have a fan submission. This is a Jacob submission. So we're
this is a Jacob. Yeah, if I would read the
You're
notes,
a fan of this show, right?
If I would read the notes, I would see that it clearly says host Jacob has picked this art of the week.
Anyways, I went back. Well, I forget. I saw someone post this on Twitter, probably, that there was a one-shot Valentine's Day story from Legends back in like 2003. This is Star Wars: A Valentine Story by with art from Paul Chadwick and Ken Steacy, and it's like a little like small like bottle like story of Han and Leia like directly before Empire Strikes Back. They're like doing missions around Echo Base, and Han's trying to get the Falcon up and running. And it's some pretty cool art. Like they're flying with an M wing. I don't know if that's like a common thing in Legends or it's just like a one-off for this issue. Looks like a Y-wing with an extra tail, kind of. And yeah, they're I don't know. The art in this was cool. They have like this like very heavily saturated color when they're in the cockpit. It's like almost Cam Kennedy in a way. Like, you know, it's obviously not quite watercolor, but it's very, very like chroma-y. It like looks like I just cranked up the LED lights behind me.
Yeah, you did.
Showing on my face. Yeah. So no, I like it.
According to Wikipedia, the M-class starfighter was first appeared in a Valentine story, and that's
M
it.
for what? Like you would think it would be like a V wing for Valentine's or the L wing for love,
well, the
but
V
no,
wing
it's
already
the M
exists,
wing.
unfortunately. So
Right, that's right.
M for Mary Wing.
All right, so a little bit of Star Wars comics trivia right there for you. Where, you know, featuring a ship class that we'd never seen before.
And it's interesting that it's a Valentine's Day special and not like the Love Day special or matrimony. Like, you know, surely they could have come up with a more Star Warsy name for that.
You know, one of the
maybe,
go ahead, Emma.
Maybe instead of Cupid, they have like
Ewoks.
Ewoks or like
Ewoks.
Porgs or something. I don't know. They got something else for sure.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see what modern day terminology gets updated to Star Wars, you know, for Star Wars words, and then others are just, you know, let's just use it. Let's just throw it in there.
It's like I'm addicted to calf, but we celebrate Valentine's Day. You know, just
yes, but we don't celebrate Christmas. We celebrate Life Day.
Well, Life Day,
but we do have hot chocolate,
like a hybrid of Christmas and Thanksgiving, because it's like late November or early November, so it's, I don't know, it's that weird time. It's the holidays. Just there you go.
The winter holiday.
All right, let's go ahead and get into what we are reading. And Emma, it looks like you've gotten. So it says Midnight Horizon on the notes. Have you finished it? Are we just reading it? Where are we in this book?
I have finished it. I
finished it. All right.
Very fast, like less than a week, because last week I said I hadn't finished it yet, and I have now finished it. So that should tell you how entertaining I found it to be. I won't spoil anything, but honestly, like, this is one of my favorite High Republic books, like, of all of them, which I think says a lot of big reveals, just really great character writing. You know, I think everybody knows that it takes place on Corellia, and I thought that Daniel Jose Older kind of wrote some interesting characters that you would want to see in a Star Wars. Like, he wrote about like a pop star. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, why haven't we seen that yet? That's awesome. So yeah, I really like that stuff. And I also finally got around to reading Trail of Shadows, and yeah, that buckets of blood moment, pretty crazy.
Yes, I also finished issues 2 through 5 of Trail of Shadows, and nice. Yeah, that was a moment. That, I mean, the sacrifice that he made in order to make sure science was studied. That's a moment.
Unfortunately,
we have another one for our repertoire, another one to add to our jokes.
If you don't know,
just
you should read it. It's good. Read it. Like it's up there with the Zuxus, thirst picks.
Zuckus. Yeah.
Yes.
No, unfortunately, I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to show that off when we get to the roundtable, because it's probably some NSFW stuff for the purpose of YouTube.
It's PG-13.
He was running down the hall. You could kind of.
We'll do a special Patreon only version of it.
Exactly.
Cosmic Force
Cosmic
After Dark.
Force After Dark.
But
Love
seriously,
it.
like that was a fun book, and that's
Yeah.
the type of cliffhanger. Like it's not really a cliffhanger in that the story ends, but
It's
there are
not really
certain,
fun.
there are certain pieces. No, well, hold on.
Yeah,
There are certain. It was fun to know that there is still more that is going to be told, and that
Yes.
this part of it is over, and then the story reached its finality. But there are certain parts that are related to Buckets of Blood that we didn't see an ending to. So that's what's fun, and it's fun to kind of get those sorts of cliffhangers and know we've got till October before we start.
Well, we're not going to see those in October.
Yeah, even longer because we're going backwards.
Yeah,
You're gonna have to hold on like
2 years to get that. To see what happened to Buckets of Blood.
Yeah. I mean, like, honestly, we've been kind of joking about it a little bit, but truthfully, I think that Trail of Shadows has been, like, if I'm counting all 5 issues as a book, I think it might be in my top 5 books. It was that good.
I'm definitely glad I stopped reading and waited till I got all of, because like I said last episode, I started reading up issue 2. Clearly wasn't paying attention because I got halfway through issue 3 and was like, I don't understand what's going on here. I'm not paying attention. So I just stopped and waited until I had all 5 of them this weekend. And yeah, it was great. It was a really fun book to read as in a single sitting. So
yeah, DJ, I was killing it.
Yes, absolutely. And Caleb, we can't forget about you and your weekly update on catching up with the High Republic. So where are we now in your catch up?
Climb. I just finished off, because it's a super quick one, Mission to Disaster. Mainly because I'm a Lompop stan apparently.
Yeah, was the wait worth it for that
Don't
one?
say apparently. You own it. You are.
Yeah, it was good. Like I was surprised how quickly they introduced a character, and this is like a minor sort of thing, but it was interesting that they kept calling her diva the entire time, and they mentioned in one like offhanded scene where she's not in, oh, look at that flower, it's the Lompop, it only grows on this planet.
Yes.
Is okay. Like they didn't actually like ever connect those, but I'm like, is that a connection? I would assume so. That's the only reason you wrote it in here. You obviously have something here for it. I said, if you're not into the middle grade novels, like this is the first novel I've ever read for a significantly younger age group I've read since I was in that age group. So it was good. It was a little rough, but it was a quick read. That was always good. So I went through that, got the that kick there, that flavor, and now I'm just have started today. So I'm like 40 minutes into the Fallen Star. So I'm just going ahead and getting ready to start that. It does seem a little choppy, these first like 2-3 chapters of like they're changing perspectives and the talker a lot. So
that happened with like Light of the Jedi. Like the first 8 chapters were like a different perspective every 2
that's because they kept dying.
That's true.
Yeah, that's true.
It's very least like, oh, I don't have, like,
we
like,
had
look
to
at
switch.
this radar. Look at this radar operative. Good thing I do not have to remember your name.
We had to switch perspectives from chapter 1 and chapter 2 because the guy literally died.
It's like I can't wait to get up the courage and ask out the girl, and then he died immediately.
Oh, sorry.
Oh no! I will never forget the captain's name though, because I remember reading that excerpt over. Yes, I remember reading that excerpt over and over and over again, just getting ready for Light of the Jedi. And yeah, I'll never remember her name, but may she rest in peace. She only lived like 3 chapters or something like that.
Yeah, Light of the Jedi was a great read.
Yes, Queen. Yes, Hedda Cassette. Yes, I totally forgot that she was in that picture book.
Yeah, again for like all 2 pages.
I was about to say.
Right. She's short-lived in that one too.
Very common theme in Light of the Jedi.
I was about to say, the first person to die in that series. Good job.
All right. Well, let's go ahead, and we are going to go ahead and get right into our merch break. Our show ad. And then on the other side, we will go ahead and talk about our favorite couples in Star Wars comics. So we'll be right back.
It's the best back cover since the Star Wars Episode 1 hardcover novelization, the one with young Anakin, because on the back, just to remind y'all, is a full headshot of Watto.
It's so big.
I think I brought this up on one of the earliest episodes of the Living Force ever, and I thought I'd bring it back.
Oh my God, yeah.
Series and all of Legends. What do you guys think? Could it be the X-Wing series? Might just be the
It
most
was pretty
romance
steamy.
intensive series ever. And we're not just talking about the scene where Corran Horn describes his love affair with an otter. I mean, a Salonian that he hooked up with her and then he broke out in chives.
Yeah, not chives.
In
Not
chives.
chives.
What's it called? The bumps?
Hives, dude. Hives.
Chives
so
go on your
close.
potato.
I'm hearing you say the same thing.
Chives
What
what
is-
you put on the under potato. No C. Hives.
Hives.
Not chives.
What'd I say?
Chives.
It's not a very common story to approach. Yeah, again, drawing the complex family tree of Django to clone identical son to clone all identical millions of sons, but they're a generation older. So then the son is kind of all Django's equal, but then Boba is a generation younger, but then that clone's son is Boba's age, but then is Boba his dad or his nephew or his uncle or his cousin? It's like
All right, we are back, and like I said, we are talking about our favorite couples in Star Wars, and we're going to try, since we are a comic show, we're going to try to keep this as much as centered in the comics as possible. But obviously, there's going to be some people that are in the TV shows or in the books. But like I said, we'll try to keep it to the comics. And it's going to be a really loose show tonight. We're just going to kind of talk about some highlights and let's our top couple, our first couple, I should say, is a very beloved couple for a lot of newer Star Wars fans, and I'm of course talking about Kanan and Hera from the Kanan comic. I mean, better known for their relationship in Star Wars Rebels, but they do definitely have their moment to shine in the Kanan comic.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this image that Jacob pulled, so great. There's something like I don't want to get like too thirsty here, but there's something about men in Star Wars lately coming out of back to tanks with just some little shorts on. And I'm loving the theme. It's a good theme.
fair.
Boba Fett, Cobb Vanth, Chrysanthemum, he was in the back to tank, I think, for a bit.
Yeah, I wasn't so much thinking of Chrysanthemum, but that's okay. That's okay. Mostly Boba Fett.
Yes. Like
yes. Kanan here, yes.
Yeah,
that's
and
very,
Kanan.
very nice.
The Kanan and Hera relationship definitely a lot more fleshed out in the show, but we did get a really good look at this in the modern part of that Kanan series. Their relationship is always a lot of fun. It's nice to see a relationship that's already fully formed when you begin, but is still kind of in the rough out phases. So you get to see, like, they're obviously a couple, but there's still the growth that happens when you're still a young couple.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, like, obviously, we talk about comics here, but I think it's also fair to mention the book A New Dawn by John Jackson Miller also really does a great job showing off the relationship. I mean, obviously, they were beloved in the show Rebels, and I think that seeing them in the comics and the books really only adds to that. And I don't know, they work so well together. Just their banter is always fun. And yeah, they're definitely one of my favorite couples. Like, if we're talking all of Star Wars, they're definitely up there for me.
Yeah, this was a great book, and it's been a while since I've read the second half of this story where Hera is finally introduced and the rest of the Rebel squad is actually introduced. But can't go wrong with Kanan and Hera, especially when you're talking about Rebels. So Our next topic.
Hold on. I do want to say this one thing. Just
Okay.
because I don't know if I'll ever have a chance to bring it up organically here. I was going through the Afra series, and Hera is reintroduced in that one. And every time I
Yes.
see
Right.
Hera reintroduced in canon, I'm like, oh, cool, look, it's General Syndulla. She's doing so much for the rebellion. But then I always remember she also has a kid,
Yes.
and we've never once
Yes.
seen that kid. So I'm waiting till they reintroduce that kid, and like, you know, they'll say, you never had time for me when I was a kid. And like all of us who've been watching and reading all of this, you know, new Heracon, like, you know, you're right. You were never around in any of these Hera-centric
and
media
parents
parts.
not being around in Star Wars has never led to a bad thing. So
Exactly.
that story obviously is
you
going
know
to be
what?
just fine.
Hera's a boss bitch. She can both
Yes.
raise her child
Preach
and
it.
be a general of the Rebel Alliance.
Yes.
You know, Snap
She can be
Wexley
a good
turned out
working
okay.
mom.
Yeah, Snap Wexley turned out okay.
Yeah.
I heard the rebellion has some great childcare benefits. So it's on site actually. There's a part of her ship that is the on-site daycare. So it's her
Yeah.
and Jason are all hooked up.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I kind of remember in the Alphabet Squadron series, her talking about him a little bit. So I don't think that he's like totally gone. I just don't think that we've seen him. Honestly.
He has been referenced. Like I haven't seen like hide nor peep out of him since the that.
I mean, he wasn't like in it
the,
specifically, but they alluded to him,
which is more
like,
than
that she was thinking.
That's more than we've gotten since then. Maybe in the new Ahsoka series we might see something, but
fingers crossed.
I'm just saying, she's doing the whole single mother thing, but we have no idea how well it's going. Hopefully well. She is hashtag boss babe, but who knows. They could be setting up the whole Ludo narrative sort of thing of like maybe she was not around when they were a kid. I don't know. We'll find out.
We will hopefully find out, and hopefully that story will be told in comics because that'll probably be a good story to tell. All right, moving on to our second couple, and this is a purely comics couple, and that is Afra and Tolvin from the 2016 Afra adaptation. I mean, what more can we say about Afra in general? She's got a great character, and I think really seeing these sorts of, I don't want to say human moments, but you know what I mean. These sorts of raw moments, I think, are some of the best parts of Afra stories.
Yeah, I love a good enemies to lovers type of trope. I love it. It's so good.
She's a bit of a mess, and because of that, most of her relationships are also a bit of a mess. But
just a bit.
It's a fun ride along the way, and I did really love. I can't remember if it was in her last issue of her first run or if it was in like the Empire Ascendant one shot, but like it was like her or Tolvin, her dad, and was it Vulata, whatever her name is, like all kind of getting together and having like a heart-to-heart moment of coming to the realization of their relationship with Afra and what that means for them in the long run and where she places their needs in comparison with her needs and everything. So it was a very sweet moment and a very humanizing moment for a character that as much as we love her, is a bit of a train wreck.
Like, Afra is toxic in her relationships. Let's just go ahead and throw that out there. Like, every relationship she has been in has been doomed to failure because of Dr. Afra. Like, she is the primary catalyst in all of these things failing. It's still fun to see these relationships form and get expanded upon and and then dissolve in horrible, gooey mess. It's a lot of fun. Like the enemies to lover trope is very strong in this one, and then they continue that trope throughout the rest of the series. With the two of them swapping sides, kind of in this giant war that's going on. So definitely a fun relationship, but not one that's going to last.
So I when I first saw this, I honestly thought that it was going to be like Afra using this relationship to her advantage to kind of like get around the Empire type of thing. But I was really glad and honestly a little surprised that it kind of became more than that, like more real. And I'm glad it did because I think it opened the door for Afra to have more relationships in the future, which always a good thing because I think it's fun to see somebody so chaotic as Afra to be in equally chaotic relationships. That's always a lot of fun.
So speaking of chaotic relationships, we don't have Afra and Son of Staros on this list.
Mm.
Is that so? Do we think it's because it wasn't? It's. I mean, we don't really see too much of that, right? Like if I remember a lot. I mean, we see it in the original 2016, more in the flashbacks, but maybe it's not as fleshed out as Tolvin. Why do we think that we went Tolvin route instead of the Son of Staros route?
I feel like most of the reasons we're not going to expand on it too much, but we are kind of here is, all the problems that are with, Afra and Tolvin are the exact same problems that were with Afra and Staros. Those are the problems have, been the same. Now, in the 2020 run, they are definitely a lot more buddy cop sort of thing. So that's a lot of a fun relationship of like, this is my ex, she's terrible, but also I trust her enough to work with her as long as I keep her in front of me, sort of dynamic.
Yeah.
And also, I can't.
Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and also, I can't ever get away from her.
Mm.
No matter how hard I try, I keep coming back to her.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I think of Afra and her relationships, I definitely think of Tolvin first. And I think because most of their relationship, it took place at like in university, right? So I think, and also it might be a little bit of recency bias too, because like Caleb mentioned, recently they have been more of friends instead of like in a relationship like that. So I think maybe in our minds we almost kind of forget that they did have a relationship, but yeah, they definitely did.
All right, our next couple, the OG Star Wars couple. We cannot have a list of Star Wars couples.
Oh, what a choice! Oh my god.
Okay, so I had not seen. Wow, I just completely lost my train of thought here after I
Understandable,
I saw
to
this.
be fair.
It's that Salvador LaRocca art, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we're talking about Han and Leia here,
For
but
the audio listeners, with the image that we've pulled up was from the Star Wars 2015 run, where they're abandoned on like a kind of rural planet, and we have a shirtless Han Solo chopping wood, and Leia coming up and blushing because
Very
boy, that's
blushed. Very blushed.
he's like boy, he picked a real interesting reference art for that one.
Dude,
but Jacob, I'm right that this is Salvador LaRocca,
this
right?
is,
Oh,
of
absolutely.
course, Salvador
I can
LaRocca.
spot that anywhere, man.
Yes.
Yeah, Han is built like a Power of the Force action figure in this scene. I'm not gonna lie, dude is jacked.
That is a perfect description. Oh my god.
It's something like I thought that was like a scene from a different Harrison Ford movie where he like went into undercover with the Amish, something like that.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I mean that's what happens when you're chopping wood for some drinks, I guess.
Yes.
It's like Captain America. Yeah, when he's like splitting the wood with his hands, but different.
Very different. Very different.
Very, very different.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because I haven't read this issue, and so I really want to know what the bubbles are saying right now, because
Em actually hit the nail on the head with the context. Yeah, it's like they're on this like basically Amish country planet with no technology, and he gets himself into some drinking debt and has no money, so he chops wood to pay it off.
Yep.
He's doing some manual labor, and Leia finds that attractive.
Leia's
I do
probably
too.
wishing C-3PO would walk in right now and probably interrupt this moment, because
Oh my goodness.
yeah, there's that is a scene right there. So,
And this
All
is
right.
why we love comics, because we get to have a little bit
Yes,
more.
this
you never get
specifically.
this.
Yeah, like come tune in next week for even more crazy comic moments. But that's the joy of this comic series, and anytime that they have a rebellion era Han and Leia together, they really get to amp up like the flirtiness to like 11. It's a lot of fun to see the character growth and the dynamic between them fleshed out more than just we saw in those 3 movies.
Yeah, I mean,
and
I
these
think my
sorts of
favorite thing about their
moments-
relationship is that they Leia knows that she should not be liking a person like Han, but she loves him anyways, and she can't help herself. And I absolutely love that, because she tries so hard to not like him, because she's like, oh, I'm royalty, I shouldn't like this guy because he's a scoundrel and he's kind of slippery. Like I definitely shouldn't be with a guy like this. But they have so much like chemistry and charisma with each other. Like, I love watching them in scenes together. And speaking of them, we're going to be getting their the book about their marriage, The Scoundrel and the Princess by Beth Rivas, coming out in what is it, August?
Yes, August. Yeah.
I think you're right. August 2022.
The pre-order link is actually in the description if you want to look at that. So.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
There's no. It was like, well, there's no comics, so Valentine's Day. You know what? Let's go for it.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I don't really know how we're gonna follow this up, but we're gonna try to with another comics focused couple, and that is of course Shara Bey and Kes Dameron. This image is from the Star Wars 2020, or they're featured in Star Wars 2020 as well as Shattered Empire. So I originally thought about writing these guys down in our next segment, and then I read what the actual next segment was, and I kind of forgot what that but the definition of that for a second because I'm old. But yeah, I love these guys. I mean, I really enjoy seeing, and this was one of the storylines that, as much as I loved War of the Bounty Hunters, I was outside of Vader. This was my next most important storyline I wanted to get back to, because where Shara Bey was left leading into War of the Bounty Hunters, I was really, really engaged in that story because I want her to get back to Kes.
Yeah, I totally agree. This their story, I mean, well, these two characters on their own, first of all, are very strong, and then when you put them together, it's also very good. When I read Shattered Empire for the first time, I was like, oh, that's a little bit convenient that Poe Dameron's parents were on Endor or whatever, but but then when I read it, I was like, oh wait, this makes sense. This is where Poe gets his flying ability from. This is where Poe gets his fighting ability from, and his tactical skills and things like that. Yeah, I mean, and also the story of how they met is very cool. I can't remember, was that in Shattered Empire too?
I know. I think they described that it's in Star Wars 2020, because like Kes and Leia are talking to each other because Leia's lost Han to Jabba, and he lost his wife to the Empire.
Right. That's
they
right.
both had
I love
a
the story of how they met.
Had a human moment between the two of them to kind of talking about their relationships. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. One thing
I was just gonna say, not to bring it back to Leia, but that is the thing I love about Leia. Like, it doesn't matter who she's talking to, whether they're like a soldier, like way down in the ranks, someone like Kes, she's gonna talk to them like they're her equal, and I love that about her. But anyways, not to bring it back to Leia.
Well, it all vibes back to Leia. She's the original like princess and love interest of this whole series. So, but one thing I really like about their relationship, one, of course, they're married, and that's always cute. But the other thing is they're not in the exact same line of work. Like pretty much all these other relationships, they spend the vast majority of their time in the comic or on the screen together. Like, Shara Bey and Kes Dameron are in two different lines of work, so they're not they're not going into combat together. They're going into it in like separate situations. So you get to see them as individuals, and then when they come together, it's never in the conflict, it's always in the downtime, and that's always a nice thing to see. Is like, they still fell in love even though they're not shooting. Both pilots are both Jedi, are both smugglers.
I mean, they're basically like, it's like two people that are married working for the same company in different departments. It's not that different. It's like the wife is in engineering and the husband is in marketing. Like, it's just
it's more than what we normally get. But I mean, I'm looking at this list, and they spend. I mean, Caleb's got a point. They spend the most time apart from each other than most of these other couples on this list.
And they still have one of the strongest relationships out of anybody on this list. Yeah.
They just carpool to their their capital ship, and
Shara drops off Kes, says, all right, have a good day,
shoves
honey.
him in the trunk of her A-wing.
Yeah. Also, I gotta shout this out. I probably should save it for next week for wacky comic moments, but this panel is just if you didn't notice, in the bottom right hand corner there's a blue growing tree or shrub.
Oh, is that the forest tree?
It is the Force tree.
That's
Yes.
Poe grew up on I don't know if I never read Freefall. I don't know if it addresses this in that book.
I did, yeah.
But it's like in
It shows
Shattered
him living
Empire,
on Yavin 4,
they
yeah.
like get a Force tree as part of like a mission with Luke, and they plant it next to his house, implying that potentially this Force tree contributes to Poe's natural flying abilities. So fun, wacky comics moments.
So what you're trying to say is eventually we'll have a Star Wars Giving Tree reboot.
Yeah, sure. You know,
that's definitely a possibility.
I love how
Right.
it has to glow blue in order
yeah,
to
it's like
show
just so you guys
the
know,
Force.
it's the Force.
Hmm.
All right, our next couple, we're going back to Afro 2016 for this couple, and we're talking about Knock and Win-Loss here.
Dude, these are my favorite couple. Like, if we were to pick like favorites, these two would be it. Like, I love, like, even though I just went on about how Charbet and Kess are great because they have their separate jobs and separate work. I love the dynamic of these two both trying to be big game hunters and big game trappers. I love the character design between the two of them. It's just like a really, both of these characters like come in really solidly, have a great dialogue between the two of them. Like, like you can tell pretty quickly that yes, they both love each other and both have each other's backs. And it's just a lot of fun seeing like a Thrandoshan in a different light, and then just like her, like kind of essentially a golf aid, a husband who's like, I would try the 9-iron on this whole sort of dynamic.
He's the monster hunting caddy.
Exactly. Well,
Oh my
look
God,
at
I love
him.
that.
Look at him.
I am living for this because I don't know if I mentioned this on the pod before, but I am a golfer. And yes, I see it. Like, he is definitely the caddy because he does not want to take the risks. And I can't remember which one is Win-Loss and which one is Knock.
Knock is the wife, the Thrandoshan, and Win-Loss is
The
the
Thrandoshan.
like the only
Okay.
reason I remember is because Win and Loss together. Like, that's like such a weird name, but I love it so much.
It's such a Star Wars name. But yeah,
That's
I
true.
love how like they're such opposites. One of them really wants to take the risks and one of them really does not. And that always makes for a fun back and forth for sure.
All right, our next. Oh, go ahead, Jacob.
This is very dumb. When Emma said Star Wars names, it made me think of it. We didn't have an art of the week, but Blind Fates did put a nice screenshot from an old Legends comic yesterday, and it was the Aurorient Express, which is issue number 1, which is a pun based off of the Agatha Christie novel Murder on the Orient Express, and I lost my mind.
Yes, that also has another Star Wars connection, a film starring Daisy Ridley.
Oh, well, yeah, no,
yeah.
that is based on that book, but yes, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
I literally related to
is
nothing we're talking
too
about, but I
much.
thought it was so funny. Anyways.
No, I mean, that is so Star Warsy to do that. Like, you've got like your pun names, you've got your real names that are spelled backwards, and then you've got your like crazy, totally mashed up.
Obviously influenced names.
Yes.
Mhm.
Like when
Yes.
Obi-Wan being born on Stew John was just
Oh my God.
one
Wait,
of the
oh my God, I didn't know that.
Stu
Yeah.
John.
Yes, it's John Stewart, the media guy, asked George Lucas where Obi-Wan was born at one point, and he said Stew John because
No
he was talking
way.
to
And then
John
they made
Stewart.
it canon.
I was about to say it.
It's yes.
That sounds so much like the usual suspects of like the Kobayashi man, and like just looking around it's Old Spice. That's the spice they have is Old Spice.
Is that all you need to do to like get your name in canon? Just like ask
Here,
George Lucas
straight-
a
straight-
random question that he doesn't know the answer to?
Straight from Wikipedia, the name of Obi-Wan Kenobi's homeworld was coined by George Lucas at Celebration 5 in Orlando when comedian and talk show host Jon Stewart interviewed him, and Stewart asked for the name of Obi-Wan's home planet. Lucas jokingly referred that it was Stew John, a play off of his name, and the StarWars.com official encyclopedia entry is now listed as his homeworld. So there you go.
That's
is
great.
So great.
That's great. So yes, Emma, to answer your question, how do you get yourself involved or as an actual thing in Star Wars? Just interview George Lucas, and he has that power. All right, our next couple is our most recent couple in Star Wars comics, and I am of course talking about Jedi Emmerich, Kaftor, and I pronounce this Cian Holt. I don't know if how the rest of you get.
Thought it was Cyan Holt, but it's
we don't have an audio. We don't have an
Han,
audio
you
book
know.
to
yet.
correct us. So from the Trail of Shadows 2021 series, and yeah, they're great. I mean, I really enjoy the fact that the High Republic is touching a little bit more into Jedi having relationships, because every single time it creates a mess, and it's just it adds to the drama, and I really enjoy it. Especially these two.
Yeah, this relationship was really interesting because they, in the comic, over 5 issues, we go from seeing them having first met each other, like for the very first time, to all of a sudden clearly being in love. And I really liked that. I knew something was up when we got that like scene on the ship where like you could see Emmerich's silhouette of him like changing out of his robes or whatever. I was like, oh, something's up. And yeah, I totally agree, Tyler. Like it's about time that we got more Jedi romances that obviously create problems, but I mean clearly they can have like healthy boundaries still. I mean, I get so riled up about this whole Jedi rule about no romance and whatever. So anyways,
like there's a very definite scene in the not Fallen Star, the one before the
Rising Storm.
Rising Storm, where Elzar Mann hit it and quit it on like a fellow aide. Like it was like
it did happen.
It
Yes.
Very
happened.
obvious. That is not an example of a healthy relationship.
Elzar Mann did many things that we have never seen Jedi do in the Rising Storm.
Rail Avaros exists. So first off, but no,
True. He probably definitely did that at some point. Yeah.
It was funny because I'm just now thinking that there was like a line again back to the first couple chapters of Light of the Jedi on that like radar station. There's someone that like doesn't do their work and instead just reads Jedi romance novels.
Oh my god, I remember that. Yes.
And that is now, and I'm like, ha 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 ha. And then a year and a half later, that's just all of us. That's just what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I think what I like about this,
they've been foreshadowing things all the time. That was another foreshadowing.
Yep.
Yeah.
this is like the anti Han and Leia, because and I'm not gonna get into spoilers, but there's a reason like we just talked about as to why Leia falls for Han and the characteristics of Han that attract her to him. And these two have a very similar moment, but on the completely other end of the spectrum. And I think that it was that was something that I really enjoyed as part of their relationship was being able to see that scene.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's such a fun way to put it, like an anti-Han and Leia. So now I'm gonna be looking for more of their relationship later on because now I need it.
Because now it's an actual functional relationship.
Yes, we like those.
All right, we've got two more here. This next one is from Afra 2020, and that is Just Lucky and Ariel Yu. Yeah, there's
it's a lot of baggage in this relationship. It's very much a like a lovers to haters sort of relationship. So like when we first start introduced to these characters, like it's very obvious they have a lot of history and it did not end well, but now they're forced to work together. Kind of a very much a parallel with these two versus Afra and Sanastaros. They deal with their relationship in a lot worse ways. So they're kind of the bad way of doing this. You know, their plot has a lot left to be told, so I'm going to like withhold judgment. I still think it's a good side part to the Afra story, but it's nice to kind of see this relationship played out and see where it's going to go from here.
Yeah, I don't know if I wasn't paying attention very closely when I was reading this, but I totally did not see this coming because this happened pretty recently. But when it happened, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, that actually makes sense. I kind of thought that they were like, maybe like rivals or something in their business or something. I didn't read it as like, they used to be in a relationship.
I think it hinted at it when he first showed up, like 10 issues ago or something like that. Now, but yeah, I can't exactly remember. But yeah, I always thought they had a past, so maybe it was mentioned at some point.
Yeah, that might have been the case, and I might not have been like paying attention, but it definitely makes sense. And I do like Caleb mentioned, it definitely kind of mirrors Afra's like relationships, and I think that's a really fun aspect to the story.
I will say, I think this camp puts Afra at like having the most like thirsty characters. There's a lot of relationships in the Afra series,
Yeah.
a lot, like more than all the other ones almost combined.
Yeah, and I think that makes it fun because all of the relationships are messy. Like none of them are healthy. So I think that's what kind of makes it almost more chaotic in a way, and that's what an Afro comic should be. It should be chaotic.
It's also, I mean, a little. I feel like it just there's a bit of realism to it. Not every not every relationship is perfect. There's a little messiness every now and again. And I will say I do like. I'm sure there's a trope for it, and I just don't know the name of it. Of like just Lucky like loving Ariel, but putting him aside because he doesn't want to like drag him down with him, kind of thing.
No, yeah, I know exactly the trope you mean, and there's gotta be a name for it.
I'm sure,
I'm not
like,
on
yeah,
TV
if I was
tropes.
on
I'm
TV
not
tropes,
going down
yeah.
that. I'm not going down
we could
that
spend
well.
45 minutes trying to find that on there, but no, and because he clearly has love for him, but then he also has love for his brother, who he's trying to protect from like basically the mafia in Star Wars. So it's a complicated situation for Just Lucky.
Yeah, I didn't. I'm a little bit behind on Afra, but even so, as much as I saw the chemistry, that might not be the best, but maybe the baggage is probably a better word there. I was more I've always been more focused on his relationship with his brother in this book, and that was the relationship that was Just Lucky's relationship that I kind of keyed in on while I was reading this. So this one, I don't have too much to say about it, just because it's just not, like I said, two issues behind on that one on Afra, and like I said,
see this in 2 issues.
all right. So, and then our last couple of the night, it is from the Poe Dameron series, and that is Snap Wexley and I'm probably gonna butcher this name, but I'm pronouncing this as Care Kun.
I think it's I was lazy and didn't put the accent, so
it is Kare Kun. Kare Kun?
Yes,
I think Kare Kun.
This is a good pick.
I totally forgot about this.
I did too, honestly, because I mean I remember they were both pilots in The Force Awakens that we saw like during the Star Killer base fight, and I loved seeing Snap in a relationship, and we even get to see more of it sort of work out in Resistance Reborn by Rebecca Roanhorse, which was a lot of fun. They just seemed like a perfect couple. Like I mean not perfect, like I mean they still have their challenges, but like I don't know, they're just good matches for each other. I think they have good banter and things in common. Obviously they're both pilots, and I always, that was something that I really enjoyed about the Poe Dameron series, was their relationship.
Yeah, and it's a relationship that you get to see like be a thing. Then one of them says we should take a break, and they talk about it like adults, and that's a really fun thing, is when they like start talking about their relationship like real people, and then they realize, oh yeah, this should still be a thing, and then we get to see an on-screen wedding, which is cool. Like I'm trying to think here, like have we actually seen that many on-screen weddings yet in Star Wars?
Give it like 6 months and then yes.
Okay, but you saw it here first in the Poe Dameron series.
If books count as on-screen,
right.
but then yes.
On page.
I was gonna say, I mean, we did see one wedding in episode 2.
Oh yeah,
but
that's right.
I mean, just that tiny,
Minor,
small,
minor
small
side
thing
characters.
It didn't have any galactic
didn't have
consequences whatsoever.
Nope, none
And
whatsoever.
if we dare to dip our toe into Legends, then
Oh,
weddings
oh,
galore.
okay. Well, that's.
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah.
If we go into Legends, there are quite
Luke and Mara
a
Jade,
few.
Han
Luke
and
and-
Leia.
Jaina and her husband, which for those who haven't read, I don't.
Did you
I
say
don't,
Jaina? Is that? I thought it was Jaina.
Jaina, yeah, Jaina.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
So So normally I'm reading these books in my head, and so it doesn't necessarily get pronounced until right now. So I totally understand where the issue is right now. And of course, that is Baron Fell that I believe she marries.
Is it Baron or Jagged?
Oh, you're right. It's Jagged. It's Jagged. I'm just trying to move on from the moment. And I just
Are sure it's not Bon on Fail? Is that not how you're thinking?
I just mentioned the first Fell that I could remember. Yes, Baron was the father. Jagged was the so anyways, we're gonna move on. Legends. It definitely goes there. And I'm gonna turn over this last section of the show over to Caleb because I've lost all speaking privileges tonight.
Okay. So toot toot, do you hear that? It's the ships. We're here to talk about our favorite relationships, about our fan casting, fan theories about who we want to see together. So, Tyler, you're top on the list, unfortunately. So I might have to bat this right back to you. So, are you ready? Are you sure you got this?
Well, yeah, that's fine. We're moving on. I'm going to comment on the art that Jacob has here because I did change this earlier, and of course, and so my first selection was going to be Afra and Sana, just because they weren't listed or they weren't shown in our list, and while they, like I said earlier, they have a very deep relationship, they can't stand each other at times and can't get enough of each other at other times, and it would just be nice. Afra needs a happy ending, and so I would love it for this to be their happy ending, but I thought of a better one when I updated the page and it wasn't there anymore. So my second one is actually going to be Vader and Dorme, because they have definitely run into each other a couple times in the Vader comic, and I would like to see, even if it's for a half second, a moment of a human moment from Vader. And with Dorme around, I would love to see that and just kind of see how that plays out. So
yeah, I totally agree. And Dorme, Rose Byrne. Oh my God, I love Rose Byrne. Bridesmaids is I think this is gonna tell people a lot about me, but Bridesmaids is one of my favorite non-Star Wars, non-Marvel movies of all time. She's a queen.
So she went from a handmaids to a bridesmaids.
Pretty much, yeah. Queen.
Well, Emma, since you put yourself on the list, how about you take the next couple of ships?
Yep, I can do that. So this one I know it's like an official relationship, but it still counts because I definitely shipped them before we knew it was official, and that's Lula and Zine from the High Republic Adventures. I knew from the first issue that something was happening with them. I mean, at first I was like, dyad, because they're like two halves of the same face, and then I was like, wait a second, their text boxes are the two colors of the bi flag, and I was like, wait a second, and then it didn't take too much longer before we found out that they were like in a relationship, or not officially, because Lula is kind of like a rule follower, I guess, but you could tell that they desperately wanted to be in a relationship together. Oh my God, I love it so much. I mean, Daniel Jose Older is absolutely feeding us with High Republic relationships. I love it so much. Where is this art from, Jacob?
So I was actually, this was someone. Just if you follow Daniel Jose Older in like the past 2 weeks, especially on Twitter, there's been a lot of Lulazine fan art, and
I'm working on trying to find that so we can credit
this one
the
as
artist.
Well today, which I can credit easily because I know where it is. The first one was his Twitter banner. This one is also amazing, which give me
love
1 second to go back to that. Was from at ISO ISOB_ELL on Twitter was the first one. And then when you saw this one,
I looked at this, I was like, I don't remember that from Tolabao. Like that fan art that we have here looks.
It does look like
you really like Tolabao's work.
It looks like the Tony Bruno, like the art from the later half.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The same person did this one. Yeah. It's again
Nice.
at ISOB_ELL is the Twitter account.
Yeah, I think I saw the original post from that Twitter handle, and I think they said that it was like an inked piece of art. It's really gorgeous. I love it so much. So yeah, great stuff.
Coming
there.
soon
And then,
to a wall near Emma.
Yes,
I
it's a
know,
little.
I would
It's
honestly-
an ink drawing.
Yeah, that would honestly look really pretty in a frame on a wall. Like I'm not even lying. So yeah, do you guys want me to?
Yeah, take
Oh,
the
it looks
next
like-
one.
Yes. Cool. All right. So my next one is Lando and Lobot.
I also
Uh,
thought of this one, so this was a very good
yes.
choice.
Thank you. I mean, obviously we see them have a very strong friend relationship, right? But honestly, I mean, they care so much for each other that I sometimes could see hints of romance happening possibly. Who knows? It's very similar to my next ship, so I'm just gonna reveal my last one. Forlom and Zuckus. Like they're related to each other in that they're two sets of really close friends that care very much about each other, but it hasn't like gone to romance yet. But I could totally see it happening, and if it did, I would be like, oh yeah, no, I could see that coming. So I ship those two for sure.
Some powerful ships. You got quite a navy there.
we do know that I don't know how, in what way, but Lando is supposedly LGBTQ.
He was featured on the cover
The Pride covers.
of Pride Month last year.
As the not super well versed straight man. I guess my assumption he's pan. That's like that's the thing that makes sense to me.
That's
Like-
what I'm pretty. I'm like 95% sure that's what I heard as well.
I
Yeah.
think that when the Solo movie came out, they're trying to maybe hint that he was to quote a Futurama here. He's a robosexual. Pansexual is definitely the right term, but like I think they're trying to hint that he might have had a
Well, yeah, I say pan because like it's Lando. Lando will do what
He gets
Lando
around.
wants. It doesn't. Yeah. Lando sees no boundaries.
Because I think we're also including like droids and alien species, and he doesn't really like. I don't think he takes into account gender when he's
exactly
picking a romantic partner. So yeah, I think Lando's a really interesting character. I so hope for the future that we get to see more like romance stories with Lando, and not just like one night stands. We've seen plenty of those with Lando. We've even seen one of them in the comics, but
like,
I want to see him like be in a relationship. I really want that.
Let Lando be happy.
I thought there was
Yes, please.
they kind of ended one off with that in the in Daniel Jose Older's last shot. Like he kind of had a happy ending in that one. Yeah, so read it. Yeah, like he'll kind of end in kind of walking off into the sunset with a beautiful woman on his arms. That might be a long-term thing.
We should get at least a little bit more explanation of his romantic background with Shadows of the Sith.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So we'll see what happens there.
Absolutely. Nice. So I guess it's my turn now, and boy, did I pick some doozies here.
You picked some off the wall ones here. Yeah,
I did not go find art for this. I'm be honest.
Oh no. Oh no. Okay, well here we go. Very first up, my favorite ship is 000 and Human Suffering. Just like every time it's on screen, I always have such a smile on my face. Like 000 is just the absolute pinnacle of terrible influence. So seeing him with like humanoid suffering, it's really a solid sort of work here. Now, on the same vein of that one, we also have Boba Fett and his man, because Boba Fett always gets him.
I don't know what's better, is your explanation or Jacob's reaction.
It's Jacob's reaction. Like this is the whole reason I'm doing this, is to piss Jacob off. but it like that one is it's fun to think about Boba Fett as like his super gruff exterior, but the enemies to lovers thing is always a fun trope. I don't think it would ever work because Boba Fett's too efficient.
This is a Boba Fett and Finnick podcast, so thank you very much. You can leave now.
Boba and I don't really get romantic.
Bonic podcast.
It is a Bonic podcast, yes.
I don't get romantic vibes between the two of them. I see them more as like, good coworkers. But we'll see what the Boba Fett season 2, which has not been confirmed.
He gave her the black melon, so that's basically.
And
You're basically
they had a balcony
married
scene in the trailer. I mean, I wanted them to kiss.
And also, he gave her a robo gut. So between all of that, I believe they are married. I think that's how that works.
Does that mean Cobb Van is there a thruple because he's also getting a robo gut?
Dude, Twitter would love that.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you asked Twitter, the answer would be definitely yes.
And the last one I only thought about it because I'm rereading through the Afro Omnibus, and that's Tam Plosa, our cybernetic bounty hunter, and Cornelius Estevan, the Doctor of Death. Just because, again, Tam Plosa is spending his entire career chasing after Ezevan. They finally get there. Tam Plosa loses his beloved, his lover, which, to be fair, he only loved him because of his body.
The one without the head.
I need some clarification.
It was like literally one of them did not have a head. It looked
did not have a head.
It looked like one of Sid's toys from Toy Story, basically.
Yeah, he was. So Tam only loved him for his body. But as I said,
okay, good. Okay.
Yes, like I said, it's only relevant because I'm literally rereading it and saw it, and that joke was for me and maybe the one other person who's rereading it at this time. But those are my ships that I would like to see happen. So Jacob, how about you actually give us a real one now?
Yeah, it wouldn't be a Star Wars podcast about romance if we didn't try and ship Luke Skywalker with someone, as Legends did a billion times. So I chose Warba, which I feel like is one of the only canon semi love interests he's had in the comics. He had that one on
but were there Force noodles?
Yeah,
were there
Amish
Force
planet.
noodles?
There were no Force noodles here. Yeah, he also had that one on the Amish planet, which actually in retrospect I think I might have liked her more. But Warba was fun. She was like a bit of a scoundrel and a nice foil to Luke's character, and also was one of his early introductions to the Force outside of Obi-Wan. He's kind of literally in the current line, he's constantly trying to figure out what a Jedi is and all that stuff. And in the last one, he's just doing rebellion stuff the entire time. He doesn't know what's going on. And Warba's one of the first people that talk to him about the Force. And I think it would make a lot of sense for her to come back with his journey now. Also, this was a Greg Pak written comic book, so he's around writing Darth Vader. Please bring me Warba. I think she was a lot of fun. So yeah, you know what?
I agree.
Yeah, she also is from Jeddah, which is cool. I don't know.
Oh, I forgot about that. That is cool.
Yeah,
that's an interesting backstory right there.
She grew up by the temple of the Guardians of the Wills, and it teaches him the "I am one with the Force" mantra. It's actually what she's doing right now in this panel.
Oh,
love.
Cool. So yeah, hopefully she will come back.
I'm just going to assume she won't, but I will always hold out hope.
You never know. All right. Well, those have been our best relationships and our favorite ships. But before we get out of here, Emma, you've got a couple of announcements about our show and some of our sister ships.
Yes, absolutely. So next week we are talking about crazy comics moments we love, and there are a lot of them. So it's going to be pretty crazy next week, and I'm excited for that. For our sister shows, tomorrow, Legends Look Back, 9:30 Eastern, youtube.com/utini, is going to be Legends Fashion Show. I have no idea what that's going to be, but I'm so excited to see it.
I believe you can ask Jacob about that.
Dude,
yes, Jacob, do you know anything about that?
I think I'm going to be on it, and I still really don't know what's going to happen.
Cool. I mean, we love a little bit of chaos. I mean, you know what? I imagine that Prince Shizor is going to be on the list, right? With those purple robes. He has to be, right? Anyways, yeah, I can't wait to see what happens there. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then Monday night on the Living Force is going to be the High Republic Phase 1 guide, which, Force knows we all need that after this kind of crazy hodgepodge of Phase 1 between comics and books and all, short stories and magazines. So Living Force guys are going to help us out there. So yeah, that's what I got for the announcements.
All right. Well, that will do it for this week's episode of the Cosmic Force. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the show right here on YouTube, where you can hear us live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern. We also encourage you to subscribe to our audio versions on whatever podcast platform you are listening to. Be sure to visit utini.com for reviews, articles, and news for the entire expanded universe, including that High Republic guide that Emma was just talking about. We encourage you to join our Utini Discord by going to utini.com/Discord, and you can help support the show by heading to patreon.com/Utini and start receiving exclusive perks starting at just $5 a month. A special thank you to JG Kars, OK Endar, Patrick Ortiz, Carl Sander, and Earl Q on our Jedi High Council, as well as Matt Billington, Kyle Hickman, Elizabeth Cloutier, Freddie C., and Sally and Chris Eilerson on our Alliance High Command for their amazing support. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You can tweet at the show at Cosmic Force Show or at the host individually. I'm at Ty Rags, Emma is at Irma Jedi 26, Caleb is at Caleb Lamanek, and Jacob is at Jacob Bosch. Thanks again to my co-hosts Emma, Caleb, and Jacob. Thank you to those of you who joined us live in the chat, and thank you to our listeners for joining us wherever and whenever you are. We truly appreciate you. We will see everybody next week, but until then, may the Force be with you.